just keeps listening, lifting around horizons. You could never really settle down. The harder that you try,
Hey everyone, good evening. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. My name is Jeffrey Greenberg. I'm the JNFuture Florida Director. It's a privilege to be with you this evening at the first JNFuture Tampa virtual happy hour. I see that some guests are still joining us, which is great. And this is a happy hour, so if you don't have wine or beer or something in your hand, this is a good opportunity to go to the kitchen, grab yourself something to drink, and join us. I'm going to just start with some house rules. So we'll have everyone on mute except for the speakers. Feel free to chat privately with individuals or to the whole room. If this is your first Zoom party or lounge, I greatly envy you. But I hope that you will keep your video on during all of the night, or at least part of it, so that we can all see each other and be interactive. But obviously, totally your decision. And this video will be recorded so that we can share it with those who were unfortunate enough to not join us tonight. So let's get this happy hour started. I want to first give a quick JNF 101, a little, sort of scratching the surface of what JNF does for those who might not know us. Jewish National Fund was founded in 1901 by Theodore Herzl, and the organization has a long and beautiful history. And I can sit here all night and speak with you about it, but I think that Yoel is going to do a better job, our keynote speaker, later in the program here. But I just want to highlight our action areas. So JNF has 7 action areas. They are community building, disabilities and special needs, Zionist education and advocacy, forestry and green innovations, heritage sites, research and development, and water solutions. So I like to tell people that if there is a need in Israel, Jewish National Fund USA is there to help meet that need. We are in the business of developing a more prosperous future for the land and people of Israel. That is what we do here at Jewish National Fund USA. And there's a number of different ways to get involved. Now, everyone on this call is a millennial, I assume, or in the JNFuture range. So JNFuture is the young professional division of Jewish National Fund. JNFuture is for ages 22 to 40 to get involved with Jewish National Fund's work and build a community within the greater community. I am going to share a quick video, but before I do, I want to give a few thank yous. So first and foremost, thank you to our 3 co-chairs, Ben Gersten, Matthew Mackler, and Menachem Rappaport, for helping put this great Zoom call together. Thank you also to Jay Kaminsky, who is on the call, who is the JNF Tampa director. And thank you to our keynote speaker, Yoel Rosby, who is calling in all the way from Israel. And Yoel, thank you so much for joining us. Even we know the time difference is pretty serious, so amazing commitment. Thank you. Okay, so now without further ado, I'm going to show this quick JNFuture video, and I will join you back in 1 second. Let me share my screen here.
I always felt a deep connection to Israel and Judaism.
I really wanted something that was hands-on, that I could really devote my life to Israel and all of my volunteer time to something that really made a difference to the people.
JNFuture is a group of like-minded young professionals from all around the country who are coming together to share a love of Israel and make a difference.
It is a great community of people with lots of diverse interests and talents, but one thing brings us together, and that's the love of Israel.
JNFuture puts on local events, national events.
We fundraise, we try to raise money for Israel, but at the end of the day, it's really more like a family to me.
I truly feel like my involvement has helped me have a lasting impact on Israel, on its people, and its future.
One of the ways that Jewish National Fund connects young people is through their missions to Israel.
When you're there on a mission, you really get such a broader understanding of what is actually happening there.
I got to see firsthand the historical sites, and I get to hear from locals how happy they are that they have Jewish National Fund as a partner and another pillar of support for them.
I really enjoy being a JNF donor because you really know where that money is going.
I really didn't know what JNF was, but I was invited to this one Shabbat in the Park, and lo and behold, I ended up sitting at the table of my future husband.
Shabbat in the Park is our main event of the year. It's a big Shabbat dinner with 400 young professionals here in the Central Park Zoo.
It is a way that we can share a tradition like Shabbat dinner.
And do things that we might otherwise do on a Friday night, but with our friends at JNF.
JNFuture changed my life in so many ways.
I have built a new network, a new family.
And I would encourage anyone to come to events and really experience JNF.
JNF is giving young people the chance to truly make a mark.
If you are a young Jewish person who's looking for a wonderful community, if you're looking for a greater purpose beyond yourself, what better thing can you do than really be part of a community who is on the front lines of ensuring that Israel thrives today, tomorrow, and forever.
Whatever your passion may be, along with your passion for Israel, there is a place for you at Jewish National Fund. We are building a brighter future for tomorrow.
Join us. Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us. Be a part of JNFuture.
Okay, that's a very powerful video. You can actually find all of our videos on our Vimeo or YouTube channels, and just go to jnf.org also for more JNF updates and promotional material. The video, as it showed you, it's really that JNFuture is a family, and there are two different levels that you can join us in. There is the Sabra Society, which is $360 for the annual campaign. And there's also the Root Society, which is $1,000 for the annual campaign. And both can be broken down monthly. And they come with different benefit level or different member benefits. And you can reach out to myself or to our great co-chairs to learn more about getting involved and joining us. I am also going to give you two quick promotions. So unfortunately, at this moment in time, we're not able to take actual trips to Israel, but JNF has stepped up in a big way to provide virtual tours to Israel. And JNFuture is doing our own unique tours. The next one is going to be June 15th to 18th. And for JNFutures, it's just $36 to join our next virtual tour. And that donation will go directly to the tour guides in Israel, who are very grateful for the opportunity to have some employment and to show us the great land of Israel. It's a 4-day tour, as I said, and it's going to be after work, and you'll be joined with others from across the country. The next big opportunity that we have to get involved with JNF is Spectacular Sunday. So this is a nationwide day of fundraising. It's on Sunday, June 14th. And our goal is to raise $1 million, which will be matched. So in essence, we're raising $2 million for Jewish National Fund's annual campaign. And it is our largest fundraising day ever, which is going to be really exciting. We'll be having live musical performances and entertainment throughout the day. And I will post that in the chat feature. Okay, so enough from me. I'm now happy to introduce Ben Gersten, who is one of our co-chairs in Tampa. Ben, please take it away.
All right, I just took myself off mute. I almost just started on mute, which would have been catastrophe. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ben Gersten. If you haven't seen my face yet, well, I mean, we've all been locked inside, but anything Jewish in Tampa, I want to be a part of. I am a part of. And JNF is just another one of those passions that has been involved in Tampa in a long time, and we're kind of relaunching JNF Futures at this point. And we were going to have a first event. Obviously, that is going to be changed, and we are going to be doing something in person, hopefully, in the near future, knock on wood. But my passion with JNF kind of streamed from my family, my grandparents, how even I was starting at a young age where, I was a kid in Jewish preschool and planting the trees. And that's when you first hear about JNF, but it's so much more than that. When I first went to Israel, before even Birthright, I got to see the shelters, the bomb shelters they're building, the programs they're working with the mentally and physically handicapped within the Army. I mean, it is a wonderful, wonderful organization. It is so much than just more than what a lot of people know of just as mainly as planting trees. So I know that I hope to meet all of you, if I'm not already, in the future. And I know Yoel is going to really make a huge impact when you hear him in just a little bit. I just want to touch back over now into one of my other chairs, Menachem. So.
Ben, thank you. Appreciate it. As Ben said, JNF has so many things that they do, and the importance of Americans supporting Israel is extremely important. When I was in the military in Israel, you get to see how involved and interested and how much Americans care to support the IDF specifically. But now it's also important, once now being a civilian, to continue that, garner the support in different different programs that the organization does. So, as Ben said, Yoel's about to explain and share with us what JNF does and how we can all get involved. And with that said, I'm going to pass it on to Matthew.
Thank you very much. How's it going, everybody? I hope everyone's doing well. I'm Matthew Mackler. I got involved in JNF actually a few months ago. I'm probably the newest member here, but I learned about it through a friend of mine who introduced me to the organization, and I've met nothing but great people and had great experiences this whole time. And like everyone else is saying, it's really cool because you get to see, you get to experience Israel and you get to help develop it. And JNF has a really cool development fund, which I'm sure everyone will tell you about. And it's just a great way to meet new people and support Israel. And I'd like to introduce you to the director of Tampa, Jay Kaminsky. He's kind of the guy who got us a band of 3 people together and started the JNF Futures organization. So Jay, take it away.
Thanks, Matthew. Appreciate it. So Jeffrey, are there other regions in the U.S. that has 3 competent co-chairs all working together simultaneously, harmoniously?
So we have actually 4 other chapters here in Florida, but they are, let's just say, a little further along in their development. So there's a different structure. But Tampa's doing the right steps in terms of having the 3 co-chairs starting it off, and then we'll develop a full board structure moving forward.
Great, thank you. Appreciate that clarification. So as you can tell, I'm probably not part of that 25 to 40 group, although according to my wife, I act about 12, and according to my youngest daughter, probably about 5. So if you kind of average those out, it's good. I want to thank you all for being here. Again, my name is Jay Kaminsky. I'm the director here in Tampa. So eventually, we're going to have an opportunity to meet each other face to face. And as Ben said earlier, we would have had that opportunity a couple months ago had we not been hit with this unfortunate pandemic. So we're doing the best that we can. I've been part of a gazillion Zoom calls through national, and this is my first ever experience with JNF Futures through Zoom. And Jeffrey has done a wonderful job of helping me on the learning curve in terms of what the expectations should be. So for the most part, in tonight's presentation, the expectation is that you learn a little bit about JNF. And the expectation is that at the end of the night, when Ben or Matthew or Menachem or myself or Jeffrey reach out to you for another, hopefully will be a in-person event, you guys will come. And you'll come with friends, and you'll come because being Jewish is important, You'll come because believing in Israel is important, and because JNF is truly the most miraculous nonprofit organization I've ever had the pleasure and honor of working with. And I've been doing this for probably about 30 years. So I can tell you that from the top down, everybody here truly believes in the Zionistic view and what America, what the U.S. does for the state of Israel. So before I introduce our guest speaker, who's already been tasting the wine just a little, I want to tell you that one of my first experiences when I came to JNF was actually to be honored with going to Israel on a professional tour of about 20 some odd new Jewish professionals or Jewish professionals from JNF that had never been on a tour before. At the time, I was in JNF for about a month and a half. And we landed in Israel, and I had the pleasure of meeting Yoel Rosby, who will be our speaker this evening. He actually was not only a great assistant in guiding us through the 7-day tour in Israel, but he also gave me a very, very honest, down-to-earth, unique perspective of what it's like to be a Zionist, what it's like to be Jewish in an Israeli state, and the importance of what we do. And I'd like to say, and hopefully he won't disagree, that through this time, since that day, since those days, I feel that when I see him by Zoom or we speak on the phone, I feel like I've known him a lot longer than I have, and I consider him truly a friend. So we're very fortunate and honored to have him staying up late, because I believe he said something like 12:30 in the morning in Israel. And if tomorrow wasn't a Chag, he probably wouldn't quite be as happy as he is right now. But since tomorrow is a holiday, Chag Sameach, happy Shavuos. And now we're gonna spend a little bit of time talking with Yoel once I get his bio set up. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to introduce you to a man devoted to honoring Jewish heroism throughout time. He is a lone soldier and Israeli patriot who, like 4 of his brothers, made Aliyah and joined the IDF, becoming a sniper and commander in the elite search and rescue unit. He is a champion for Jewish veterans around the world who spearheaded the movement to honor and sacrifice and set up the morale of Jewish soldiers throughout history and through the Wall of Honor at Ammunition Hill in Jerusalem. And he is a steward of Jerusalem who has helped ignite the process of transforming the eternal Jewish capital into a monument and museum of Israeli heroism. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my distinct pleasure and honor to welcome Jewish National Fund's National Projects Coordinator, Mr. Yoel Rosby.
Thank you very much. And it's actually 1:30 in the morning, not 12:30, but I'll give that to you, Jay. But I can speak in Hebrew, I can speak in English like this. It makes the talk feel more authentic, like I am speaking from Israel. But I think at this hour, for me, for you guys, and how much wine I see is going on in the screen in front of me, it might be best to speak like this. Yes, David, Dave, we see you. And I want some next time I'm in Florida. In any case, thank you for getting on, and thanks for coming. It's really a pleasure to see you all, to the chairs, the professionals, and everybody that took the time out. I mean, just a minute about who I am and why they asked me to speak to you guys and not someone else, where it could have been. I think that, you know, a lone soldier, I'm not sure if some of you are familiar, even though we have Menachem on the call that was also, I would assume, is a lone soldier as well, a few years back in Golani. Basically, a lot of times you hear the story of Zionism, you hear the story of patriotism, you hear the story of legacy and so on. That wasn't me. what happened was my oldest brother decided to go to the Army. And I don't know if you guys have siblings. I'm sure you do. And if any of you have brothers, then you know that competitiveness is something that we love to do. And my family took it to a whole new level. My oldest brother went to the Army. Then the brother after him decided, well, if he went to the Army, I got to go to the Army. And me being the youngest of all the brothers decided if they all went to the Army, I got to go to the Army and show them up. So that's how I started in Israel. And I kind of stayed, and then the Army gave me the opportunity to do my undergrad and then my MBA. And then I was in the venture capital world. And I was playing with a lot of money and working with Israeli startups and foreign venture capital funds that were looking to put money into Israel. And I was doing high holiday services one time. And I think that this is an important, before I dive into JNF 101 and what's going on and who we are, I think it's very important to explain to you guys of how I got here and why I'm speaking to you and why I'm even here in JNF today. And really, I was doing high holiday services. And I see once I gave this spiel, and it was the Rabbis for Israel group I was giving it to, and it was a bad idea, and you'll understand why in a second. So our high holiday services are about the most boring thing on the face of this earth, but you do them because you do them. So what was I doing? I was talking to the guy next to me. And I was talking to the guy next to me, and he's like, well, you know, what do you do for a living? And I said, well, I play with people's money, and I give it back to them doubled. That's what I do. And he's like, oh, okay. And I asked him back, what do you do for a living? And he looked at me and he said, I work for Jewish National Fund. You know, I take people's money and I build the land of Israel. And I said, whoa, I know. You can't solicit me on Rosh Hashanah. You're not getting a check from me, young man. And he said, I don't want your check. I want you to come work with us. And I looked at him right there. I remember it clear as day. This goes back about 10 years. And I said to him, what do you want from me in JNF? I don't plant trees. I've killed every house plant I've ever owned. What am I going to do? And he said, listen, here's my card. When you're ready, call me. And it took 2 years, but I called him and I started. And, you know, I slowly but surely worked through the ranks. And right now, currently, I serve as the National Projects Director. What that means is I oversee the operations of our operational initiatives, 738 of them throughout the country. And I oversee, right now, we are currently building dozens of projects. I'm overseeing about half of those as well. And that's what I do throughout the land of Israel. And that's what I do here today. And that's how I got here today. But really, I think JNF didn't start. We're over 115 years old. And if you go back to originally, you always say, well, why the trees? Why the blue boxes? And how did this all happen? And this is how it happened. What happened was Theodore Herzl, our great-grandfather over here, said, hey, we need a land for the Jewish people. And they were thinking of Uganda, and they were thinking of some other ideas, but we ended up in Israel. And what did you have to do to buy land in Israel? If you buy land in Israel in the early 1900s, and you didn't settle that land, you would relinquish the deed. So what did we do? We started planting trees on the land that we purchased. And that's how we got into trees. If anybody was wondering how JNF got into trees, that's the backstory. Now, we started building trees, we're buying out land because we said one day we need the land of Israel. We need a homeland for our Jewish people. 1948 happened in the shadow of the Holocaust. And we have an established state of Israel. It's unbelievable. It's a miracle. Everybody loves it. Everybody knows it. Everybody cried, and everybody's happy it happened. But then we all looked at ourselves in the mirror, and I say the people that were sitting in the seat before me and the people before then, and said, well, we don't really need to buy out the lands anymore because there's a state of Israel. So what are we going to do? And anybody here in business, anybody here in development, anybody here knows, you know, Econ 101 knows that if you're not getting with the time and you're not pivoting to what the current need is, you're going to find yourself in a decline and you're going to find yourself out of business. And we said, okay, well, what could we do? And what could we do? We can start strengthening a land that's outnumbered 1 to 100 in our beautiful neighborhood here, that our neighbors, as much as we love them, they might not love us as much. And we have to create a more resilient country. We have to create a stronger nation in the land of Israel, and that's what we started doing. And when I say that, what does that mean? Creating a more, that's such big words and these big ideas, but what does it translate into? What does it actually mean when I put $1 into JNF? Where does it go and what does it do? And what do? We have the 7 action areas, like Jeffrey said, and we can go through them, and I can give you a big list of everything that we needed to do and everything we need to, that we've done. But I don't think that that's what you came here to hear. I think the essence of everything that we do and the essence of everything that we support, that we move forward, that we drive, is taking a flourishing land and ensuring an even more flourishing future. And that's taking care of everything that we can't take care of. When you're spending so much on defense, when you're spending a lot on other pressing matters, which is true, which you have to do, someone needs a helping hand. Someone needs to give that helping hand, and that's where JNF comes into the picture. We have a $1 billion roadmap. It's unbelievable. It's beautiful. It's amazing. We're already 650 million into it, and we're raising it all for the land of Israel, and that's what we do here on the ground. So you ask yourself, okay, what does this guy do from day to day? I get up, I get into my car, I drive to a community on the frontier of the land of Israel. I drive to a community in the frontier of Israel, and I asked them, how can we help you? What can we do? Now we have lots of ideas and lots of initiatives that are going on, from helping individuals with special needs, building infrastructure, fire stations, medical centers, high schools, parks, community centers, pools, you name it, we're part of it. And I remember some of you might have met him, some of you might have heard of him, some of you that haven't either or definitely should both, as our fearless leader, Russell Robinson. He's our wonderful CEO. And when he took me on and he promoted me to be a project manager, he always has this saying. He says, JNF doesn't do projects, we do vision. Okay, there's a vision for the land of Israel. We don't do projects, we do vision. You know those people that come up to you and they're really good and they really know what they're saying, they're charismatic, and they say, we don't do projects, we do vision. You're like, yes, I love it. And I do, and it's amazing, and it really got me involved. But then suddenly I'm a project manager, and I went up to him and I said, listen, no one else is in the room. What's my job again? If we don't do projects, we do vision. So what does that mean exactly? And he said, listen, you're an idiot. And I said, okay, but tell me what, and he said, what do you mean we don't do projects, we do vision? This is what I mean. It means that anything that can serve our vision to the land of Israel, that's 500,000 people moving to the south of this country and 300,000 to the north of the country, and spreading it and settling the land. Because if you look at the borders of Israel, who had a shirt here? Someone had a shirt here with the border of Israel on their shirt. I don't remember who. Well, there it is. There it is. Ben has that little land of Israel. If you look at the bottom, half, you'll see, if there was an actual aerial view, that the land of Israel on its borders, are settled, and strongest borders we have are ones that there are communities on them, are flourishing agriculture, are beautiful, amazing, flourishing neighborhoods. And in order to create a strong Israel and a strong border, you have to create those communities, and that's the vision. So when I asked Russell, I said, we don't do projects, we do vision. He said, any project that answers that question, that serves that vision, is something that Jewish National Fund will look into. And that's why it's so confusing. Wait, you do special needs, you do fire trucks, you do infrastructure, you do community building, you do hospitals, you do high schools. So what is it? You don't just do one thing. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Anything that will serve that vision is something that we're going to consider to do. And that is why we have such a diverse portfolio. There is not one thing. I have never sat in front of an individual and had a conversation about the land of Israel that I've lived in, thank God, for 20 years. I've served for 4 of them in the IDF. I'm still in reserves today. I served in Lebanon and in Gaza, and I can continue to serve my country, and that's amazing. I love the IDF, and I'm going to continue serving as a reservist because I want to, not even because they make me, even though they make me. But I'll do it lovely. But today it's 2020. We have the best army on the face of this earth. We really, really do. So the IDF is going to protect our borders from the people that are shooting at them. But we have to remember there's other borders to protect, and that's from within. A resilient home front, a resilient community, a resilient people is what JNF is in the business of. We're no longer on the front lines of picking up our wonderful tanks and our fighter jets and our guns and everything. That's not where the war is anymore in the land of Israel. That's not where the war is right now in order to ensure a better future. The war is making sure the people, the land of Israel, and the people, the Jewish people around the world know that we have a resilient, amazing, flourishing country, and that is the answer that we're giving. Now, I was asked to also discuss to talk about what's going on now in Israel with COVID-19 and how we've been acting and what's been going on. And really, if you leave my house and having what's going on around me. Now, it was a very, very, very unique time that I think all of us were caught off guard with. I haven't spoken to anybody except for some alarmists that put out a Netflix thing that say, oh, well, we knew it was happening. I said, well, maybe, that's good for you. But really everybody I know, and I think everybody here listening has been affected, some more than others, some very much more than others. And I truly believe that this is the first time that I can remember that the entire world is in the same boat. Now, there was 9/11 and there was terrible tragedies that happened around the world where Israel and America's bond was could never have been better because we were the nation that understood what it was to be chased for who you are. The heinous crimes of the terrorism that took place on 9/11 and such events, that is when our bond became even stronger because we could look at America and say, guys, we love you. We know exactly we know what's going on. We know what's in your head. We love you. We'll get through this together. But I think COVID-19, and not in comparison, I'm just trying to give relativity here, is also a similar situation. We all have found ourselves in a situation that's unprecedented and trying to cope and trying to get through. I personally have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I'll tell you, one of the hardest parts is not having kindergarten. How's that? It might sound trivial to some of you here, but at the end of the day, I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old home for 2 months. And I was still working, and my wife was still working, and we were home, and I have elderly parents, and we couldn't see them, and they couldn't see them. And suddenly you realize these are the little things in life that suddenly you get the rug pulled out under you. And you don't understand. And in Israel, you guys know how we deal with all the violence and everything. It's that they always tell you, get back into routine. The government tells you, get back into routine. We'll continue. After, may we never know future, but it passed in historic terror attacks. A day later where the terror attack happened, you won't see anything. The bus stops are already painted over. The streets are already cleaned. Everything is back to normal because that is how you move forward in the Middle East. They say, I don't know if I've ever said this joke to you guys, but in Israel, in the Middle East, there's only 2 things. Either you're eating or you're on the menu. There's no in between here. So when you're in that constant state of emergency moving forward, getting back to routine is where it's at. And then suddenly this happened and they're telling you, no, you have to stop your routine. You can't go back to normal. Life is going to be different. And then we have to suddenly start coping and start realizing what's going on. Now, our country took a very strong stance on COVID-19. The restrictions put into play very early on were very stringent. People that were found out were given tickets. Many, if not any hotel, restaurant, all of them were open, were fined terribly, and suddenly found themselves being audited by the Israeli IRS, and it shut down completely. And for that reason, we're actually slowly but surely getting back into a new norm, a new normal. We don't really know what the word normal means. I don't think any of us do. But slowly but surely, we're getting back into routine. Schools are open. Places of business are open. Restaurants are opening next week. Hotels under very, very strict guidelines might be opening in the next month. You still cannot come in as a tourist. There's still 14-day quarantine. Anybody comes in from overseas. But slowly but surely, because of those stringent regulations, Israel is now getting back to normal to a certain extent. Now, a lot of times in times of stress, and this is bringing us back into our conversation, the organizations we work with the different nonprofits and what we call the affiliates of Jewish National Fund, you have a tendency to think of emergency mode. How do I get through today? And when I get through today, how am I going to get through tomorrow? And not thinking beyond that. Now, the role that we played, and when I say we, I see everybody that's on this call, because everybody that's on this call made a conscious decision at 6 o'clock after a day's work that are all going through this terrible situation that I just explained. And you guys decided to get on a Zoom at 6 o'clock and hear a video that you might have heard and it was a choppy voice and you're not sure and you have other things to do and you'd much rather drink your wine alone. But no, you got on this call. And you got on to listen. So when I say what we did, it's all of us here did, is that we helped the affiliates, we helped even the government of Israel, and I'll talk about that in a moment, not think about today and not think about tomorrow, but think about next month and think about the next 5 years. We were able to come in and help almost 60 organizations. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people think about not just tomorrow, but to think of where we can go and how we can grow from here. And if it's helping the elderly in this time, or if it's gapping people's deficits because the entire economy shut down, and we can go on a list of on and on of what went on. But really, I think that the message, and this I'll open up soon to questions. I think I've gone on long enough. The fact is that it's a very positive message coming out of Israel right now. And I've spoken on, I want to say a few dozen Zoom calls like this, bigger, smaller. I have to say that this is one of the younger calls I've spoken on, which is relatively refreshing, because usually people say, Yoel, can you speak up a little bit more? I'm like, guys, you just turn up your volume and then you'll hear me better. It's not me. You just turn up your volume. That has happened more than I'd like to admit. But in any case, the fact is that the real message that's coming out of here, and the message that I'm trying to give over, is that we're all going to get through this, that there is going to be a tomorrow. And if I can help the affiliate organizations here realize it, I can tell you that the light, the technology, the foresight, the vaccinations that are being created here, Israel right now is what they say, Or LaGoyim, light upon the nations. And it's continuing to be, even in its worst time. We've had the largest decline in our economy ever recorded, but we are still trying to be a light upon the nations, to be a beacon of hope to the world, and we are giving it away. We are just hoping that people will understand that there is a tomorrow, that there will be a tomorrow. And if there's anything that came from this entire situation, and this is not just happens in a day. This doesn't just happen in a day. I mean, I'll tell you, how are we doing on time, Jeffrey? Are we okay? I don't want to go. Yeah, we're good. So I'll tell you a personal story of something that was very hard for me with this whole, Matthew, you're killing me. That dog is adorable.
He wants to be on the call with everybody.
Hey, listen, I hear it. Every Memorial Day in Israel, you guys just had Memorial Day. We had Memorial Day a few weeks ago. Every Memorial Day in Israel, and I'm sure you guys have heard this, Menachem can probably also speak to this, is that you go and visit your friends that fell in combat, and you visit their families, and you tell them how much you love them and how much you miss them, and that's what you do every Memorial Day. That's just what I've done ever since I enlisted. And this Memorial Day, we couldn't. The cemeteries were closed. We couldn't go out, and that's just what it was. And it was suddenly a story that we were talking about, because I called a lot of the families. And one of the mothers of my friends that was killed in Gaza, she was saying that, you know what really is the message here? And I said, what is it, Osnat? And she said, my David didn't become a hero in a day when he was killed by sniper fire. That's not, it wasn't that was his defining moment, that at the end of the Gaza campaign in 2014, he unfortunately fell from sniper fire. He said he was a hero way before that. The person that he was all the moments that led up to his final moment, that's what defines him. That's the resilience, that's the heroism. That final moment, that's not what defines him, but that's what we remember because that's the last moment. And she said to me, Osnat, she said, that's exactly what I'm talking about. The people of Israel, the Jewish people globally, it's not that suddenly we hit this pandemic, suddenly we hit this hard times, and the Jewish community specifically were hit very hard as well. We saw a lot of anti-Semitism. We saw a lot of true colors from a lot of people that unfortunately even some of them surprised us, our leaders, our politicians, our friends even. And I'll tell you, that's just a personal thing. And she said to me, we didn't become resilient overnight just because this pandemic hit us hard, even though it hit everybody. It's all the moments that our nation went through, that lived through, that survived through, that led up to this, that turns us into this resilient, heroistic people, that turns us into the people that could be a light upon the nations. So if I can leave you with any anecdote, if you haven't listened to a word I've said until now, listen to this. The fact of the matter is bad things happen. Really bad things happen. But it's going to get better. And it's because people like us on this call that believe that, not just say it so we can put it on a banner. We're not a marketing team. We don't do that. We really mean it. That we live our lives believing that tomorrow can be better. That's what's going to bring us to a better future. That's Jewish National Fund. And that's how Israel is always going to continue being a light upon the nations. And we are the resilient people we are because of all those moments. So we'll definitely open it up for questions. But really, I just want to say l'chaim. L'chaim, guys. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Yoel. I saw that Dave had a question. Dave Gold, if you'd like to ask Yoel. And guys, feel free to ask your questions in the chat feature, and we can all have an open conversation here.
Oh, did you like my voice?
Yeah, I was just. What are you drinking? That's first of all what I'm curious.
It's a California Zinfandel called Saldo from the Prisoner Wine Company. 2017. It's pretty good.
All right. Okay. I like the Baron Herzog Zinfandel. If we're already going for California Zinfandel, but I'll take that as well.
Yeah, I'm a Zinfandel drinker.
I hear you.
So, being a small business owner, how is small business being supported? How is it doing in Israel right now? Because I know it's been very tough going for a lot of people here in America. And I've seen a lot of my friends, business owners, restaurateurs that are really struggling. And I mean, thank goodness I was able to get that PPP loan pretty early on, which has helped me to at least stabilize. But I'm just wondering how the condition is there, because to me, small business is so important beyond all this corporate. Anyways, yes.
Yeah, we don't. Well, I get you. I get you. But what small business do you? What's the business?
Dentist.
Ah, okay, cool, good. Small business, restaurateurs. The estimate right now is about 60% of restaurants will not reopen.
Wow.
Not only because they couldn't carry their cash flow over, and they had to let go of their staff, and restaffing is, as anybody here that has staff knows, that restaffing is going to cost you at least 20-30% overhead right off the bat. It's that there's new regulations, and all of the business models that were the basis of their restaurants are shot. Because you have to cut your capacity in half. You have to spend a lot more on sanitizing. You can't serve certain dishes. Your waiters also need to wear masks, and there's going to be a rapid decline in restaurant goers, so to speak, when your waiter comes to you with gloves and a mask, and suddenly you're like, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't be eating here. That's one of consideration. So that's restaurants. Small business took a huge hit. Unfortunately, the government of Israel didn't exist until last week. For those of you that are a little bit more involved in politics in Israel, you'll know that for the last, I would say, listen, this is being recorded. So for the last long time, the government of Israel has not been at full functioning capacity. There has been various transition governments. We've already gone through a few election processes. What do you say, 4 Jews, 5 synagogues? So in Israel, it's 4 Jews, 26 synagogues. And you put a bunch of Jews in charge of a country, we're going to fight. That's just the way it is. But thank God, last week this is already 3 weeks ago, time flies, the government of Israel came to an agreement, and last week they were sworn in, and we have the government of Israel. But what happened is that there was a transfer, but there was a interim government, and small business support was hit because of that. They couldn't get their act together. The loans that they were offered were insufficient. So it's funny that you mention it, because in America, there is the Small Business Association. Am I saying that correctly? Small Business Association. In Israel, that doesn't exist. And we said that's ridiculous. So what we did was, and when I say we, I say Jewish National Fund, is that we spoke to all the mayors of the various cities that we work in and the various regional councils, because there was no ministers up until a week ago. And we said, everybody in your municipality, respectively, is trying to support home business. How about if we put you all together? And they all looked up and they said, no, that can't work. We can't have 5 Jews working together. It's just not going to happen. And we said, wait a minute. We have Western Galilee now. We have 40 tourism providers in the Western Galilee that up until 4 years ago were fighting with each other. No, don't go to that wine guy. He's going to cheat you. Just drink my wine and eat my cheese, because don't go to that guy. That B&B, that one's terrible. But instead, about 5 years ago, we went to all of them and we said, guys, your business sucks. And you're not sending people to each other, and it's hurting everybody. How about we all work together? And we created like a consortium. There's literally a federation called Western Galilee now of all the tourism providers in the Western Galilee. And we got him to sell the cheese, to send to the wine, to send to the B&B, to pick avocados. And they've had, in the first 6 quarters, 30% increase of revenue. And we showed the municipalities throughout the country over the last month this business plan. We said, guys, this could work. And they looked at us, they said, no, you're Americans, you don't know what you're saying. And then we showed them the numbers and like, wait a minute, this might work. And we started creating a business forum, and slowly but surely we're mapping it out, and we're trying to create a small business association or the equivalent thereof here in Israel and help small business. But at the end of the day, you have to remember that Israel is a tight-knit community. And I don't say that it's not 6 people, you know what I mean? It's not, oh, you know, cats from Jerusalem. It doesn't work like that anymore. But people are very loyal, and they're going to support their own city. So slowly but surely, you see a lot of campaigns along Israel. Support Jerusalem owners, support this, each municipality. And right now, JNF is trying to put that together and network as many municipalities as possible, because the power is in the numbers.
So I would say another question, obviously this conversation means a lot to so many people beyond this call even, but how is JNF specifically, you know, with its ongoing projects, being that, you know, that's what you do in Israel, how has that responded? Is it halted most of the projects? Has it turned your focus completely upside down? What's going on with that specifically?
Any initiative, and we're talking about $100 million roughly a year. That's an exaggeration. It's probably more closer to 85 million a year in new investments. Any project, any initiative, any affiliate that was receiving support by Jewish National Fund the day before COVID is receiving the day of COVID and the day after COVID. JNF was very specific. If you guys get our e-blast and our text, believe me, we have like 17 different ways of reaching you. And even if you opt out, you know what I mean? Like one of your professionals is going to screw you over and opt you back in. You know what I mean? That's just what we do. And if you notice, yeah, Jeff, I did that. In any case,
I would never do that.
Yeah. You did that to me. I'm suddenly getting JNFuture emails from Florida. I'm like, hey. In any case, listen. The fact of the matter is that we didn't do any emergency campaigns. A lot of people did. We don't believe in it because we're doing the work. We did it yesterday. We're doing it today, and we're going to be doing it tomorrow. Thank God we have the capacity to continue, even though there was a decline, because Everybody was hit hard in the campaign, but we're now going back up slowly but surely. And anything that was committed to, the first phone call was to our affiliates saying, don't worry. We will give you air to breathe. We are not pulling funding. We are continuing. Let's see how we can work and pivot to make more bang out of our buck, because times are hard, but don't worry, we're still with you. And I can say that as a person that's signing the contracts with our affiliates and meeting with the contractors. Today I was in the Lower Galilee and I met with 2 contractors that were doing projects in the city of Akko. We're doing in the Upper Galilee, the Culinary Institute. We met with the architects today. We're not going anywhere. So that's important to know.
Great. Any other questions in the crowd?
Yeah. Hey, Yoel, it's Jay. Quick question. Thanks, Ben. Can you spend 2 minutes talking about that really new and very, very exciting program that is the project that's being going to be built in Beersheba, the new campus?
The new campus, the global, wait, we just changed the name. Turn off the recording, Jeffrey. I don't want any of our execs saying that I forgot the name. It's the Global Technology Campus. It's a real good name. It's so good I can't remember. But in essence, what it's going to be is I have no better word than cutting edge, state-of-the-art campus. It's basically like a village, all-encompassing campus for overseas visitors, interns, students, groups, and it is going to be focused about Zionist education and technology. It is going to be in the city of Beersheba that is turning slowly but surely into a technology hub of Israel, and is going to have our Alexander Muss High School also has a campus there. It's going to be everything and anything to do with Zionist education in all of its forms, whether it be a birthright group, whether it be a semester abroad or high school, whether it be a post-high school or post-college group, or interns working at IBM or Dell that are in the technological park in Beersheba. So this is something that we are working together with the Ministry of Education, with the Ministry of Negev Galil, with the municipality of Beersheba, with many 10 different offices and governmental operations in creating this basically like Mecca for individuals looking to come to Israel and excel in technology, to excel in Zionist education, and mainly geared towards adults. We don't want it to be a 2-star place where you go on birthright and you have the main thing that you do in your WhatsApp group is take a picture of something with 4 legs that was crawling on the floor. That's not the idea. The idea is to have 5-star, to have something that you can be proud of, that when you're here as an intern and your parents aren't so engaged and they were pissed off that you were going to Israel, or your grandparents were like, I was in Israel in the 50s, don't go there, there's no running water, there's no sewage. And you tell them, no, come. And then you bring them there. It is not only about giving them a comfortable bed, which will be, believe me, we're actually working on that, but it will also be about changing the demographic, changing the mindset of individuals that think the Negev is just some desert Ben Gurion said we're going to settle. Rather, it is the center of the world when it comes to technological research and development. And we're building that village from the dorms to the sports center to the conference hall. The whole campus and village is going to be a Jewish National Fund project. Right now it's estimated in about $200 million. The project, there's different phases, there are various facets, but it's the largest project that I know of in Israel going on currently. You said 2 minutes, Jay. I can go on for longer, but I'm pretty sure that, you know. What else?
Thank you, Yoel. Any other questions for Yoel, guys?
Yoel, we're just really impressed with you being able to turn off that Israeli accent and speak American.
What? I can't hear you. What is it? What? Are you making fun of me? Is that what you are saying? Listen, my friend, listen. My oldest brother went to my mom and said to her, Mom, I'm going.
Gohan?
Mom, what's that?
Zohan. Can I get a haircut?
Yeah. Oh, please. I wasn't such a fan. My oldest brother went to my mom and said, "Mom, I'm going in the Army." She said, "No, you're not." I grew up in Chicago. I'm a Chicago boy. I grew up in Chicago. This is my born and bred. You know, that's where I'm from. And I'm 20 years out of Chicago. 21 years now. And she said, he said, "Mom, I'm going to the Army." And she said, "No, you're not." And he said, "But Mom, you raised us as Zionists. We want to go to the Army." And he went, and then slowly but surely. So she said to each of us, she said, "You know what? If you guys go, just continue speaking English, continue communicating in English, never leave that, never let that alone." And that's what we did. And then we started having kids. And my parents actually said, "If you can't beat them, join them." So my parents actually moved to Israel. They lived 2 doors down from me. I have a built-in babysitter. Anybody with young kids knows that is the ideal situation in the world. And that is what it is. My whole family's here. So you can thank my mother, and thank that. And you know what? I didn't do it justice in the beginning because it was just Memorial Day in the United States. And I think it would behoove me to mention 2 individuals actually for Memorial Day, is my grandfather and my grandmother. When I said it's not legacy, I was trying to get a cheap joke, but it really was about legacy. In the beginning of the conversation, my grandfather was actually an intelligence officer in World War II, and he fought in Tunisia against Rommel's army in the final stand, came home with 2 Purple Hearts. Wow. And my grandmother was actually a clandestine agent, not even an American citizen, that worked in Nazi-occupied Europe throughout World War II. And then after the war was over, Uncle Sam gave her citizenship as a token of appreciation. That's how she got to Chicago. So I think I'm going to sign off. I'm going to sign off now because it's 2 a.m. and as much as I love you guys, I'm going to sign off now. But if I can leave you with something, it would be find that person that drives you forward. For me, it was my grandmother that I'm named after her. She unfortunately passed away 2 years before I was born. I grew up on her stories. But the fact is that everybody that signed on to this call today had a reason to do that. So take that reason, develop that reason, find out what it means to you. Because if you weren't passionate, you wouldn't be here. And the fact is you are passionate. So find what drives you and just drive the hell out of it. And I really, really, really hope to see you all in Israel soon. I make a promise. Jay, you can hold me to that. Jeffrey also, you know who's on the call. I'll remember all your faces. And if we connect on social media, we'll probably recognize each other better. But when you're in Israel, I promise to come out and meet you in person because I miss everybody and I love seeing everybody. And hopefully we'll see you soon. That's the most important. And stay safe and stay healthy. We love you guys.
Take care, Yoel. Thank you very much.
Have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So that's the formal program. We can stay on now and maybe pour another drink and sort of talk amongst each other if you'd like to. You know, it's very informal. So whatever is on people's minds. I know that I'm calling in from Miami today, and I'm excited that the beaches are going to be reopening over the weekend, and where restaurants are going open. What's going on in Tampa? Are you guys?
Beaches are packed, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. I've heard some stuff about Clearwater that people are flooding the Clearwater beaches again.
I was there during Memorial Day weekend. I was very far away and very high up watching from above, but it was pretty ridiculous.
The restaurants aren't 50%; they're 150% packed.
Okay, not great, obviously. I'm sure. I'm sure the local authorities are not very pleased about that. Dave, you said you're a small business owner.
Yes.
And my girlfriend is also, she's a restaurant owner. So she understands where you're coming from with the PPP as well. And
Lifesaver.
The lifesaver, yeah. It's here comes the cat. He waited to the end.
Oh,
here.
I had mine next to me the whole time.
Nice. Great. So
it looks like the rules on the PPP are also going to be improving, and hopefully that's also going to not count against as taxable income, which is one of the big deals that is hopefully going to get passed tomorrow. That's one of the things that we're looking out for, that the House is trying to get passed right now.
Nice.
Because that's the last thing you need. You get your $50,000 loan, you're putting it towards your payroll, and now you're paying extra taxes on top of that as an income, payroll, and then payroll taxes. It's like a triple whammy. Yeah. Hopefully this gets corrected tomorrow. So again, another thing to pay attention to. Again, I try to keep my ear to the ground and see everything that's going on. And that's one of the things that's been most concerning to me is, all right, you give us this money, now you're going to tax it as income. And income for, you know, our level of earnings as a business, it's pretty high. It's significant, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Hopefully this gets corrected.
Of course.
Yeah.
So things are starting to be.
Come in. Well, cleaning. Hey, listen, you should have called before. Now my appointments are in July. June is gone.
Good to hear. Good to hear. This is picking up. That's good.
No. In my entire, I've been a dentist for 14 years. I've never had people so happy to be at the dentist. They're like, oh, thank God you're open. I'm like, what? Normally you don't even want to be here. You cancel your appointment. You find every excuse not to show up. I say, if you don't show up, I'm not giving you an appointment until November. They show up now.
I thought it was because you kept a bar cart in the front of your office.
Yeah, that's across the street now.
It's all about silver linings.
Yeah, no, it's honestly, I'm very thankful, and it's nice having my patients being very thankful. It's very rewarding, honestly. It's been good.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Where are you? You've been driving for like an hour and a half. Where are you
going?
Can we open up the format for everyone to share what JNF means to them, why they took the time today? Definitely appreciate everyone joining the call. But what does JNF mean to you? Why did you decide to take the time, and how can we grow the JNF Tampa community, JNFuture community, so that we feed from this first successful event, and we can grow to have our next in person and grow the community organically. We open up. Anyone want to start? Share a little bit.
I mean, I'll say those Sadaka boxes as a child were always very important to me. It was very competitive between me and my brother to fill my box before my brother's box got filled, so we could bring it to synagogue and you know, it would be donated, and we'd have trees planted in our names, or we would contribute to Israel. And since then, I've learned that, you know, to me, one of the most important things is the hospitals and the outreach and those community programs that I think Israel is so proud, and we as Jews, to again, I always think of us as being a light unto this world, to really honor and try to help as many people, because in every country there's the rich and there's the poor and there's this disparity. And I find that JNF really tries to bridge that gap. And my donations, I think, go to a good cause. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Said it.
I think that what we could do from here, and obviously Jeffrey and I and the co-chairs will chat, but we'll start looking towards the future as we have been. And when we started talking about doing a program here in Tampa, virtual was never part of the equation, and now look where we are today. So I think that we have some pretty good minds that we could all work at L'chaim. That's right. Man, I wish I had a little bit of your zin, I'll tell you. I purposely didn't open up a beer for this because I didn't want, I'm on the clock. But then I saw Jeffrey take a swig of a beer, and I'm going, damn. And I was like, yeah, I see. I know. Now I know. Next time I know, Jeff.
No, Jeff, you had some whiskey before, didn't you?
Yeah, I was sipping on some scotch.
Oh, scotch. Okay.
I am so missing out on all this.
Look, this is a Jewish National Fund happy hour, and that means that there is whiskey in the glass, or wine is fine too, Dave. We'll accept that.
Anyway, so I just think that we'll build a little bit at a time, Dave. I think we find some more people of like minds and are willing to learn a little bit about Jewish National Fund, and we'll get really creative with programming. And Jeffrey, he's been great for this ride, and I'm really glad that we have some new co-chairs involved, and I want to thank Menachem, and I want to thank Ben and Matthew for jumping on, and plus we have both sides of the water represented. So we have Matthew over in Pinellas, and we have Ben and Menachem in the Hillsborough area. So I think we cover a pretty good swath of territory, and with Jeffrey down in Miami working in cooperation with all of us, we're gonna build this. We will build this, just like Yoel said. We will build.
Yep, absolutely. And I'll just add that so for JNFuture during these times of coronavirus, obviously all in-person events are postponed until after September. So we're going to be doing virtual programs from now until then, primarily on a national level, where we're going to be doing 2 JNFuture events every month virtually, where everyone nationwide can come together and join in. And we're also always having weekly programs at JNF, just nationally, at jnf.org/on-demand. And I really look forward to joining you guys in Tampa and doing some in-person events as soon as possible, hopefully in October or right after the high holidays. So, obviously a lot of that's out of our control, but I hope that that's the case.
Yeah, I'm going to say at that point, we've waited long enough. We're going to have a JNF first event rager at that point. I mean, it's been too long.
Yeah, the suspense is building. I know it's building all across the country. I mean, I cannot wait until we're able to legally have, our 100 persons events again. I know that, every year we do a large Shabbat in Central Park where people fly in from all over the country. We're going to sell that out, I think, immediately, like within the week. So be on the lookout for future programs. We'll be sure to post it in the group and on our national social media. Yeah. So any thoughts before we conclude tonight? No? Okay, awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining tonight, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
We appreciate everybody. Chag Sameach. Have a great holiday and enjoy the weekend.
Well, weekend.
Yeah, Chag Sameach, everyone.
Talk soon. Chag Sameach, everyone. Bye-bye.